Welcome everyone. My name is Laura Wood and I'm part of the Owen Sound Waste Watchers Planning Committee. Thank you for attending our first Apart and Together Zoom event this season. As you know, our previously planned Earth Day events have been canceled and our planning committee has decided to continue to meet online as we exercise an abundance of caution while following health authority measures. It was such a lovely day outside. We hope to keep this event short, and it's so nice to see you all. Even though we are meeting online, we would like to begin this session with a land acknowledgement message about where we live, where we work, and where we gather trash. So we would like to acknowledge the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe Nation, the people of the Three Fires, known as Ojibwe, Adawa, and Potawatomi nations. And further, we give thanks to the Chippewas of Saugeen and the Chippewas of Nawash, now known as the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, as the traditional keepers of this land. We hope many of you have had the opportunity to review the 2020 results video on the Owen Sound Waste Watchers website. To recap, last year, we gathered 70,880 pieces of trash. These were gathered with our Alone Together events, through our Adopt a Butt Can program, and by individuals who went out and picked up trash on a regular basis. So how many items has Owen Sound Waste Watcher participants picked up since we started in the fall of 2018? Well, a couple of us last fall got together and put together this image, 184,353 items. Most of the items we collect are smoking related, primarily butts, some packaging, vaping materials. But we also have collected close to 12,000 other plastic items. Because we are able to recycle cigarette waste through TerraCycle, 89% of what we have gathered has been recycled. But of course, 11% has gone to landfill. 9,516 items have already been picked up this year. The question is, can we get to 250,000 items before the end of 2021? We actually think that we can, and we hope to accomplish this amazing feat with the help of individuals continuing to gather items on their own, our Adopt a Butt Can program, and 5 Apart and Together events before we end in the fall. Now I'm going to pass it over to Lorianne Caswell, who's going to give us some information about the events that we have planned so far. Lorianne.
Hello, everybody. Okay, so first of all, we're really sorry that circumstances meant we couldn't have our pickup kickoff as we had hoped to do. Earth Day generally sparks a lot of enthusiasm, and it's always been you know, our first kickoff around this time each year. Not that we've been around for 100 years, but we sure hope that we don't have to be around another 100 years, that all of this stuff is going to be so much better going forward. Laura and I were just talking recently, as in like 20 minutes ago, about how taking care of our environment, climate change, sustainability, waste, trying to avoid that, how all this is now becoming much more mainstream than it's ever been before. And that's really encouraging. Doesn't mean that we have to give up the fight though. And so we are planning events for the rest of the year. Another 5 events, as Laura mentioned. I will just briefly go through the dates, but I will do it in the order of the activities that we have planned. We're going to continue in the same way, as Laura mentioned, as we did last year. Better to be safe than sorry. So they will be these Apart and Together events. We do individual pickups, each one of us doing our own thing, but then we collectively come together, not only in our mission, but also in a Zoom chat. So we'll have opportunities to do that each of the remaining 5 events planned for the year. The first event we have planned for May is particularly exciting for me because it's with an organization with which I've become really enamored of. I've never known a lot about the Bruce Trail other than it sounded pretty cool, but I have never been a part of anything that involved the Bruce Trail, and I've walked it very seldom. I think that's about to change in my life at this point, in part because of Mark Glendon, who joins us today and who masterfully leads a group of people that are part of the Peninsula Bruce Trail Club. They identified a problem with litter and decided to do something about it. And to anybody who's part of Owen Sound Waste Watchers, kind of sounds like our thing. So Mark, do you want to kick off the May event by talking a little bit about what you've got planned? And oh, unmute.
There we are.
Hi.
Thanks for inviting me today. And actually, I wanted to join you more to listen and learn today. And that's how I actually started becoming involved with the Owen Sound Waste Watchers. I reached out to Laura and Lorianne to find out more about why you're so successful at what you do in Owen Sound and how we could use what you have learned to help us start with our projects here on the peninsula. So we have gathered together with a group of people. I'm glad that Lorianne now knows a little bit more about the Bruce Trail, and I'll be happy to take you on your next hike when you're ready to go. So as Lorianne said, we last year, as most natural spaces, experienced a real growth and accumulation of litter in our natural spaces. So at trail access points, and usually anecdotally we've noticed that the trail within about 2 kilometers of the access point started to accumulate different types of litter, but we didn't have any data to be able to support our anecdotal notes. So reaching out to Lorianne, we borrowed some of the things that you've been doing with Owen Sound Waste Watchers, and also with another group here in Tobermory, which is called Keep the Bruce Clean and Green. And with the help of others such as Parks Canada and the Bruce Trail Conservancy itself, we pulled together what we hope we'll be able to participate in, as you say, either alone or together in some way. The first event is going to be at Little Cove parking lot and Little Cove Beach. So there'll be 2 litter events there. One will be in the parking lot and the adjacent trail, and another small group, and we're hoping that we'll be able to gather as a small group. We'll be doing an enviro hike. So the enviro hike is an attempt to educate as well as to help clean and pick up litter along the trail. And it's been my experience that if you know and love something, you want to protect it. So if you're able to develop a relationship with the land and with the trail, you're much more likely to want to take care of it. So the enviro hike is a bit of an experiment. We'll see how this goes, but we will have that as an interpreted hike, and the participants in the interpreted hike will be bringing some litter grabbers and pails with them to pick up litter along the way. And it's our hope that passersby will also be interested in learning more about what we're doing. That'll be followed by the Trash Talk cafes, and that's kind of borrowing from Owen Sound Waste Watchers again. I have my cup of tea here because I'm imagining one day I'll be able to meet Lorianne and Laura at Frog Pond Cafe, and we'll be able to talk in person about our experiences. But the Trash Talk Cafe will follow our enviro hike and our parking lot cleanups. And that's really for 2 reasons. For our purposes, we want to be able to provide an opportunity for the volunteers to be able to debrief after their experience, and also as a way to make note of any stories they may have. They're willing to share about their conversations that they've had with people on the trail. And all of those will be accompanied with a display. And I know Owen Sound Waste Watchers has had displays at the farmers market in Owen Sound, and we're hoping to do something similar. We don't have a big farmers market here in Tobermory, but we do have locations in downtown Tobermory that we can have a display, and as well at Lions Head, where we'll be having a second site of pickups. There'll be a display there as well. So the two spots, Little Cove Cafe or Little Cove Beach, and also Lions Head at the Lions Head Nature Reserve. Both spots were litter hotspots last year. I hope that wasn't too windy.
I thought that was great. And so those events, there's one in each of June, July, August. June, July, August, September. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
And we'll make those dates available to anybody who might be interested in following along this journey. So we're pretty excited about it. You know, we keep using the word adapt. I apologize for using it repeatedly, but we're all trying to hope for the best and expect that we can all get out and do these things together in some way. But this is another organization like Owen Sound Waste Watchers that's just making it work, however and in whatever capacity they can. So those are dates and events to look forward to throughout the year. The next event, thanks very much, Mark. The next event coming up after that is June 19th. And one of the things that we're well aware of in Owen Sound is we still don't have organic green matter curbside pickup. And so composting continues to be something that we're trying to promote. So in addition to our pickup, everybody doing a part together, we'll do a Zoom event that focuses on composting. And then July, another pretty special event to talk about. And that will be picking up July 24th. But also, I call it the trash poetry. Laura, maybe you could talk about that a little bit because you've already met with the poet we're going to bring in.
Yes, tell you a little bit of the journey of this event. Was one day I was kind of moping around and a friend from down the street dropped off a book at our house, and it was from the library called Castaway. And, you know, I haven't read a lot of poetry in my life. We had just finished publishing the video of how to reduce your household paper. And that was very much in my mind. And I started reading this as I think I was resting in the afternoon. And I started reading it, and there was a poem in here called Sorrow of the Paper Mill. And it was exactly what we'd been writing about, the fact that trees are cut down so that junk mail can be delivered to our home, and we immediately put it in recycling. And it just struck me that afternoon. So I got brave and I sent a message to the author who I found on Facebook. And it's been a fabulous connection. The author's name is Naomi Shahid Nye. She is the Young People's Poet Laureate in the United States, named by the U.S. Poetry Foundation. She's a dedicated trash collector, reuser, and recycler. So last week we got together online and chatted about the opportunity for her to come and speak with our group on July the 24th. She focuses on young children, but she wants people of all ages to participate in this event. And the book is really interesting because in the back it gives ways that you can actually collect and express your thoughts. So I say it's sort of the intersection between three things: the fact we live in a disposable society, the fact that some of us are picking up litter, and then the thoughts of how we can communicate our feelings about both of those things. So I would encourage you to stay tuned in the days ahead. And if you're interested, to try to check this out of the library. It's a fabulous, fabulous book. And we're looking forward to joining Naomi Shahid Nye with us at our meeting on July the 24th after we do our trash pickup in the morning.
Cool. Thank you. That's really special. One thing I'm looking forward to is writing a letter to trash. More on that. Stay tuned. August 28th, we'll do another pickup in Zoom. We're going to skip September. We tend to find that folks still want to be picking up into October. So we've planned another pickup event for October the 2nd. And we're hoping by that time there'll be enough vaccinations done and all that stuff that we could actually get together, even if it's an outdoor event. We pray for a lovely day and an opportunity to actually see faces in real life time rather than just through a screen. Although I have to say, seeing you guys is really special. So the dates we have will be May 29th. That's when Marg's going to be doing another Zoom with us to kick off the events that are happening on the peninsula with Bruce Trail. June the 19th, put that date down for pickup and composting. July 24th is the trash poetry. August 28th will be some other Zoom yet to be determined along with the pickup. And then October 2nd will be our wrap up for the year. So hopefully we've got enough interesting things that will keep us all entertained and engaged and doing the good work that we all do. And with that, I think we did put together a bit of an agenda, so we did stay a little bit on track. Laura, I think you mentioned that you were going to put together some slides. Was that for your opening that you were doing?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. So we've already done that. In that case, then I'm going to pass this over to Deborah Eaton, who's also a member of our planning committee. Hello, Deborah. And she's going to moderate an opportunity for us to have a little chit chat so we can take our turns unmuting ourselves and having a conversation. And I will do my level best at taking notes. So if there's questions that are unanswered or thoughts and stuff, we can collect those and share them amongst ourselves and with others. Take it away, Deborah. Unmute and it's all yours. Unmute. Hello. If I had a nickel for every time somebody didn't unmute, I'd be taking you out to a great big fancy dinner.
Hello, everyone. We thought we'd take a few minutes, if you are interested, in just sharing some of the challenges and the triumphs of the year we've just been through. And I thought I would go first and just share my challenge first. And I think I wouldn't be alone in this. It was just a very discouraging time as a waste watcher. We had really been making some progress with grocery stores and packaging and plastic bags, and not just us making progress, but the grocery stores were taking big steps. I know Foodland was almost ready to ban the use of plastic, and then of course we couldn't go down that road. So that was very discouraging to me. But I do have a great triumph, I think. I'm a kind of a first-time vegetable grower last year, and I was able to feed my family with the vegetables that we grew and didn't really have to go to the grocery store to get vegetables. So that was really exciting and will continue in my household. So I open the floor now to anyone else who would like to share a challenge or a triumph. We'd love to hear from you. And okay.
Okay.
Susan? Yes.
I just want to echo the whole thing about getting extra packaging because of COVID. You know, not going to restaurants, getting takeout, because you want to keep the businesses going. It just seemed that those packages were piling up, and I shred the paper ones and put them in my compost, but it was disheartening. So I'm looking forward to going back to restaurants and then washing dishes. So yeah, but and I've just had hip surgery, so I haven't been picking up anything for a while now. But I'm hoping that I'll be back out picking up litter. So And actually spring was a little discouraging, I must admit, when all those cigarette butts reappeared. And it was, you think, it would be nice if we could make an impact that they did not get rid of them. So I don't know if you know about my painting at drains, but which we haven't done much of yet, but we will keep up with that. So I'm hoping to do some sort of a little education campaign along with that, but I haven't really been accomplishing anything lately. So I'm hoping that that will be my triumph for this summer. So that's it for me.
Thank you. Carol.
So the greatest challenge for me being a healthcare worker is the fact that with the single-use protective equipment, the plastic gowns, the plastic gloves, and everything had to be removed between every single patient. It was disheartening. I understood it, but it was disheartening because of all that we'd done so far. So to keep people safe, we had no option. But every time I had to do it, it was tough. It really was challenging. The positive, though, and there are many positives, I did actually go out before the stay-at-home official order because I was so excited to get back on track, picking up junk, garbage, plastic, that I actually did go out before we were ordered to stay home. And the people that were walking on that day who spoke up and said, thank you for doing this. The gratitude they expressed was even more this year than I've had said to me before. And I think because people are appreciating our natural environment so much more, they want to keep it clean. And that was a change from the year prior for me. Just almost every single person was grateful.
Thank you. Jack.
I am married to a woman who's converted me into this over time, and it's been quite eye-opening. I have to say, during the pandemic, I haven't been crazy about going shopping in stores. It's not a huge fear or anything, but I'm much more conscious of what's going on than I ever was in the past. But what I really notice when I go into stores now in the last year is the quantities of plastic packaging that's just everywhere. Everything is in plastic, and I walk into stores sometimes and it's just overwhelming. So we try really hard not to buy a lot of things in plastic. We have set a goal in our house this year of 12 garbage bags for the entire year. We do that through a number of ways. We do a lot of composting. I'm married to a soil farmer. We have something called bokashi, which you can put bones and meat and other things in. And the consequence of that is, and we rinse, if there's plastic packaging or something, we rinse it off and let it dry before we put it in the garbage. And the consequence of that is we don't have stinky garbage. So we can let a garbage bags sit around for weeks and there's no serious impact because it doesn't smell. We use old retired leaf bags for our garbage, which the garbage people in Owen Sound are happy to take. We put the tags on it and use that, so we're not even the bag we're putting in is not in plastic. And we look like we're on track to do 12 this year. It's been interesting. We have our first grandchild was born at the end of last year, and we've had a few visits, and when they visit, there's an accumulation of diapers, and that definitely puts that impacts our garbage goals and stuff. But we're still managing through all that. So some negatives and a positive.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to learn more about the bokashi that you're talking about. Can you tell me some more about that?
Probably ask Laura to do it. It's a great system. Laura's the one who dug this up, and we've been doing it for quite a while now, but I'll let you tell it, Laura.
Yeah, but bokashi is a system where it's really fermenting your garbage. And when it's fermented, it is no longer attractive to animals. you can actually compost anything, but if you put dairy, meat, that sort of thing in your compost bin, it will attract animals. So when you ferment it first, you can then add it to your compost bin, and they're not interested. Think about, little animals don't like pickles type of thing. So it's a very simple process where you put that type of waste in a container, you add a specific fermenting bran to that container, you remove the air from the container, and you let it sit. And it usually sits for about, 4 to 6 weeks. And then we either put it in a compost, or depending on what the cycle of our compost bin is, sometimes we bury it in the ground. Not once we have a few yards, so we have the space to do that. Not once have I seen an animal well, we don't see animals in our compost bin, but I've never seen an animal dig around the bokashi. And let me tell you, they sure love our lawn and every other place here. So it's been really exciting because, we've spent our entire adult lives trying to keep raccoons out of our garbage, whether we were in Toronto or whether we're here, and there's nothing attractive at all to animals in our garbage. So we can leave it outside for 4 to 6 weeks before it's time to go to the curb, and nothing is happening to our garbage. So bokashi, I'm a real fan of. It's just the two of us, so we don't have tons of waste in that regard. We tend to have more vegetable waste that goes directly into compost, but it is nice to be able to then just add it to the compost bin and let it cook. And it breaks down quite quickly. The fermenting bran actually helps things break up in the compost faster.
You actually have bones disappear. It's quite amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting to me. Up here I have to be aware of we have bear that visit from time to time, and I've been hesitant about putting out a composter or using a composter, but on Friday I did purchase a compost shell, so I'm going to be putting that up, and certainly I know that I won't put any meat or dairy or things like that in it, but I have never heard about the kabachi, so I'm going to start looking at that. And
maybe you could send her a link, Laura.
Yeah, we will. And you can also, I think we have a video on our website about composting. It's a little long. It was the first video that we did, but at the end there are links to bokashi. You could also put your vegetable and fruit in the bokashi first, and that would certainly make it less attractive. I have to tell you, we don't have a lot of bears downtown Owen Sound, so I can't speak that perhaps our compost bin wouldn't be attractive to a bear, but so far no other creature has been in it. So that would be an interesting social experiment, Marg, if you're willing to be the guinea pig.
There is a cost to the bokashi. You get a plastic sort of a bucket with a little spigot at the bottom. You can drain the liquid out as you compact it down and take the air out. And we've got 2 of them, so we can, have one going and one fermenting. And then you have to buy this special bokashi brand stuff. So there's a cost associated with it, but it's dramatically impacted our garbage dramatically. So to us, it was worth the cost. But
yeah. It isn't, there are ways that you can make the brand yourself and all that sort of stuff. I mean, we just purchased it, but you can also make your own container. So it doesn't have to be that expensive. So there's lots online to look at that, and maybe check out our video as well. I have something about challenges and triumphs. One of the toughest things in this journey has been, how do we replace things in plastic? So I love my oatmeal in the morning, and I add all sorts of things to it, including what used to be frozen fruit. But of course, frozen fruit came in plastic. So I migrated a year, and I can say about close to 2 years ago, to dried fruit from Bulk Barn. So I became one of those people that spent time in Bulk Barn. Unfortunately, I have the great candy aisle, so that meant I needed to buy that as well. However, we were buying all sorts of stuff, including our cereals, our dry cereals, and our coffee. as well as dried fruit. And as soon as the pandemic hit, Bulk Barn was one of the first places to shut down. And that did then mean that there was a little bit of an increase in our plastic packaging. And so because we do the cigarette butt recycling and you need to put them in plastic bags, there's always at least one more use to every plastic bag that comes into our house. But that's been a tough one. Buying cereal in boxes, knowing that there's a plastic liner in there. It's so frustrating when you got used to buying things from Bulk Barn. So that was a real challenge for me personally. But what has happened now is just in the last couple of weeks, I've been emailing Bulk Barn for about a year and a half, just saying, when are you going to reopen? Bulk Barn did a really good job at controlling the possibility of transfer of virus in the store, but the sheer number of plastic bags that go out of Bulk Barns it's atrocious. If you've ever been in line, people are buying in bulk, but a whole bunch of different things. So the average person will have a dozen bags, and those bags will be around for much longer than the food, let's put it this way. So we stopped going to Bulk Barn because I just didn't feel comfortable supporting their stance on it. Sending information, a lot of people have been sending research into Bulk Barn about it. And so the triumph is, I guess it was about a week and a half ago, they announced that they were reopening their program, and a whole list of locations, including locations in Toronto, where obviously there's a bigger issue to do with COVID than in Owen Sound, but not Owen Sound. So both of our children, one in Toronto, one in Montreal, because they're used to listen to me talk about Bulk Barn, and they shop at Bulk Barn, said, Mom, it's reopened. And I went on the list and not in Owen Sound. So we've been encouraging people in Owen Sound to also go on the Bulk Barn website and send them notes. And apparently they're waiting for approval. So I don't know whether that is the staff or the management. But if you haven't done so already, feel free to do that. I will continue to do it every week, and I'm really looking forward to getting our granola and dry cherries and in our glass containers.
Just to clarify, they're reopened, but they don't allow you to use refillable containers, reusable containers.
Right. Well, they've been open throughout most of the time because they are a food store, but they did change their protocols, and good for them for doing that. We appreciate everything they're doing to keep us safe, but certainly once they've made a decision to reopen, I would love to see Owen Sound included on that list. So that's a personal challenge, and hopefully a triumph soon for Owen Sound.
Thank you, Laura. Laura Ann.
I've got one, and it kind of riffs on what Carol was talking about PPE. And it has to do with kind of a game I'm playing, which is my triumph. And it really started last year when I landed in the critical care unit, cardiac critical care, or whatever it's called, at the hospital for 10 days. And the amount of PPE was staggering. They didn't know what was wrong with me, but they suspected it could be contagious. It might even be COVID. And so I was isolated. And I counted in 1 hour, 14 people coming to tend me. And every time they came in, they had to gown up with everything from head to toe. Their little slippers over their shoes, all their gloves, gowns that went down to their ankles, masks, of course. And that was 14 times in 1 hour. And that was the only hour I counted, and that was kind of shaking. And then over the course of this past year, I have been really conscious of listening to other people talking about their challenges and how they're not able to overcome them for specific reasons around safety and that sort of thing. And so sort of like that carbon footprint, I looked at it as some of this stuff is essential right now, and there's nothing we can do about that. So the challenge of that, I've turned into a triumph by saying, okay, what can I personally do that will be a triumph, where I can look at something that must be for now, but I can compensate for that in some way. So it's really made me hyper aware, much more, and I mean, I'm a bit of a waste warrior. Thank you, Laura, my mentor. So I'm really aware of it to start with, but I have to say I'm really hyper aware now of the choices that I'm making in practically everything that I do. Laura and I were talking recently about the 3 R's. And I said, well, I've got a long list of R's now. And the very first one is rethink. And rethinking everything that I do, just taking a moment. It doesn't mean I've got to do some, write some massive essay or do some big investigative research. It's just pausing for a moment to think, is this the choice that's best? Is it the right thing for me to do? Is it the right thing to reduce waste? Is it the right thing for the planet? And those extra couple of seconds, I'm finding to make it almost a game of it at this point. And that to me is the triumph, that I can take something that's challenging and turn it into something that actually becomes fun. I'm ensuring that, PPE is being used, and I know that has to be done, and other people have to do things, that there is no choice but, single-use plastic or whatever it may be. But I'm taking it upon myself to try and offset that. And it starts with rethinking everything that I do.
Thank you, Lorianne. Thank you, everyone. I'll turn that back to you, Laura.
Thanks so much. We're going to end now. We want to be cognizant of people's time. It is a glorious day outside. Just really appreciate everyone participating. As I mentioned, we will be putting this up on a sort of a private area on YouTube. So we'll send you all the link for that. And we look forward to seeing you out on the streets, picking up trash. We'll keep apart, but we're going to be together in spirit, and then getting together to talk about obviously one of my favorite subjects, which is composting, in June on the 19th. So until then, please stay well, and we'll see you then.
Take care, everybody. Bye.